Howdy, howdy, howdy. This is Portland Stew here for the final installment in the ranking of all Gothic cards for limited play and sorcery that's draft and sealed. This is going to be the uniques installment, so uh, if you're watching to try and get some hot tips for a draft or sealed event you're going to be playing in, I strongly encourage you to watch the other videos. Uniques and limited are so rare that sort of knowing them is not as important. They're a real crapshoot. The Ordinaries and Exceptionals video, which we put up through the Rose City Sorcery, which is linked in the description, much more useful. Even the elites are a little more relevant because you see them somewhat frequently. But this is the unique, so I'm going to try and go relatively quickly, though I haven't even really seen all of the uniques in Gothic yet. Haven't come across them all. But just to go over my ranking system, I kind of use more high-frequency cards as my categories. So Necromancer is sort of my S tier category. These are cards that you're going to windmill slam, pack one, pick one. I generally don't put things in the Necromancer tier unless I would consider picking it over a Necromancer pack one, pick one, which is a pretty high bar. I mean, having an avatar with a super useful high value ability and limited is just almost always worth more than any single card in your spellbook or atlas. Then this level I'll have a different card for each element, but the Avenging Angel level is cards that will easily be my pick ones and pack one or pack two or three in a draft. Cards that are going to pull me towards an element when I'm building a sealed deck. So yeah, Avenging Angel is a great example of that sort of card. It's 4 cost, 3 flyer that also functions as removal because it gains that charge and lethal thing. And yeah, just a high value card. The Ghoul category, this will kind of always be like a 3 power minion, maybe with a small upside. These are sort of the staples, the things that you want to have plenty of to fill out your deck. 3 power minions, we've said this in all the videos, are super important in Gothic. There's lots of 3s and lots of 2s, and you kind of want your deck to be heavier on the 3s. They're your staples. And then sort of 2s with some upside that might not be useful most of the time but can help. That's sort of, the playable category. These are cards that'll often make your deck, but they're not going to really pull you into an element. Sometimes they won't make your deck. And then down here we've got the Desecrator Kite level cards that are basically never going to go in any deck unless you really ended up with a bad pool. So yeah, let's try and get started. Try and keep this under an hour. I hope you enjoy watching this. If you are, I'll talk about the cards a little, try and give some descriptions. In some ways, this is just a chance for me to read through all the uniques. So we have 4 avatars that show up at unique rarity. Spoiler alert, you're never going to want to play basically any of these, with maybe 2 exceptions. So we'll look at Duplicator first. Your spellbook has to contain only matching pairs of uniques, and then you start with 2 spells and 2 sites. Hilarious card, definitely. I think there's going to be some wild Duplicator decks in a couple years, but not really relevant to limited. Same with Imposter. This is the avatar that lets you fill your collection with other avatars that you get to pay 3 to transform the imposter into those other avatars until it takes damage or until you transform it again. It's 0 power. That's one thing that I didn't notice about the imposter is it is 0 power and it doesn't gain the power of the avatar who it's wearing as a mask. So Battle Mage, not good for imposter, but in any case, I mean, unless you get a crazy sealed pool where you have like 5 avatars in your sealed pool, I don't know, maybe there's somebody will pull off an imposter build in limited and that'll be cool. Like it could, in very niche scenarios, it might, like if you had like literally 4 minimum avatars in addition to the imposter in your sealed pool, you could maybe do it in sealed. And there's Magician, to just you have no atlas and only have a spell book. So this, I haven't seen anyone pull this in limited, but it might be good. So you can effectively have to play less chaff, right? It's sort of like being a spell, it's almost identical to the Spell Slinger, but you don't get to tap to draw sights. And the truth is that even the best Magician constructed decks have to be such specific builds around like ramp and combos and things like that, or like, yeah, Magician is a meme. If I ended up with it in my sealed pool, I might just play Magician for funsies. But the thing I'm going to do, so this is the unique video, I guess I should say this. I'm going to rate these as if, you were playing in an event that your primary goal is to do well in the event. Because often for uniques too, like, I don't have a Magician yet, so if I saw it in a draft and it was a casual local draft, I'd pick it just because I want it for my collection. And I think that's going to be true for a lot of these uniques, is you might pull them for collecting purposes, but we're talking just in terms of limited, what you'd actually want to play. I don't think Magician is worth playing. I mean, you do get to your good cards faster. I'm really intrigued to hear what people have to say about Magician. I'm going to put it as a ghoul level avatar. Then Realm Eater allows you to go out and start destroying sites. It's just, this is a total build around avatar. All of these unique avatars, I think you really will only make sense for constructed. If you haven't seen Realm Eater before, he has the additional ability to tap and digest a site, and anytime he attacks a site successfully, he destroys it, and it sits in his belly until he taps to digest, and he becomes immobile. So with movement tricks, the idea with Realm Eater and constructed is that you can kind of use teleport and blink and just skip the digestion thing and just eat a bunch of sites. Pretty interesting avatar, but those are the avatars. That's not what we're here for. Let's get to the real content. Most important is the spells. So we'll start with the air spells. And with a really good air spell to start out our list, Hexam Haunts. This is an incredible card for limited. It's 3 power for 3 mana, 2 air threshold, and threshold is really important, especially when you're evaluating these uniques and elites, which can get really threshold greedy. It must be cast burrowing, but you can cast it from your cemetery, so you just get to keep recasting this 3 power minion easily an Avenging Angel level. I would not call it a Necromancer level. The recursion is huge for card advantage, but having to cast a burrowing makes it pretty easy for your opponent to play around it. So it's not like, if you could cast this to the surface, then it's almost as good as an avatar. But Doom of Dillman. So I think we're going to run into a lot of these difficult to evaluate ones. Doom of Dillman is 8 mana and 4 air threshold. So you're unlikely to play this before turn 12. And if the game isn't over by turn 12, this is a huge drop, but 8 mana is too much mana for limited, and that's just my take on it. I think Gothic Limited can run a little long. The Doom of Dillman has Burrowing, Submerge, and Voidwalk, can't be banished, destroyed, or modified, so there's like 3 cards in the game that can remove this from the board or something. Like, it's almost impossible to destroy, but it's almost unplayable. I'll put it, maybe you put it in your deck, and if you draw it, then you just start drawing sites for turn to rush to it on like turn 10. But yeah, Doom of Dillman, I don't think I would. I would draft it because I don't have it, but I don't think it's a good limited card, though. If you do manage to play it, you get it. Let's put it in Ghoul. It's like, if you get this early on, you build hard into air, maybe, I don't know, it's a hard one to evaluate. The uniques are going to be tough, so, but we'll keep going. Nosferatu, Airborne, Burrowing, 6 mana, much more reasonable price, 3 air threshold, is not to be ignored. I mean, you might not hit the threshold for this sometime. You're definitely not playing 3 elements if you're trying to run Nosferatu, but the fact that when it dies it just jumps back to your home site is incredible. I mean, this is a Avenging Angel level card. You're going to run it in any deck that it can run in. It's so, having Burrowing and Airborne is really nice too for being able to survive a Buried Alive. Mephistopheles, really cool, flavorful card. Haven't seen it played yet. 6 mana, 3 air threshold. It basically comes out and replaces your avatar. Now, this is your avatar. You have 4 power as your avatar. And once per turn, you can summon an evil minion from your hand, like for free, to an adjacent site. So anywhere your avatar is, to any site adjacent to it. This is I mean, putting 4 power on your avatar is pretty good. Then you have an unkillable 4 power body that you can use to remove things all over the board. But your whole deck has to be evil minions, basically, or almost your whole deck for this to be playable. I should have maybe even have done different categories. Like the ghoul category is going to end up being largely cards that are just so specific that you really need to pull off something complicated. Like, let's just put Mephistopheles is going in the Broomstick Witch. You're not really going to run it in most limited decks because it's just too hard to get to, and then once you get to it, it shuts off your... I mean, you're not really wanting to draw sights at that point. I guess you can still play spells. Okay, no, I take it back. It's a solid playable card. I'm not going to pick it super highly. But I guess once you hit 6, but it'll be dead in your hand. Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, it's going to be hard to move fast on these. Jack the Ripper, this one's easy. 3 mana, 2 air threshold, 2 power. Maybe cast to any mortal and then silences and kills it without breaking stealth. Yeah, this is a great card. It's removal with a 2 power stealth body. It's only mortals, which are not in high numbers in Gothic, but there's still a fair number of them around, and some of them are really good. We got Eclipse. Evil minions can be cast to affected sites. Evil allies occupying affected sites at +1 power. No one's really running aura destruction and limited, so I'm going to put this as a ghoul level card. It'll go into most decks. Like, if you hit this early in a draft, you'll definitely lean towards evil and be able to get some good value out of this. But it's not a body or removal, so sometimes I might not play it, even if I had it in my sealed pool and I was in air, like if I don't have minions that are going to really use it. But getting it out on turn 2, as opposed to like a Broomstick Witch, it's better than that, because it'll pay off big with everything else. Chorus of Condemnation. Each player chooses another to discard a card. Not worth playing. Pay 1 to you discard and then they discard. Yeah, no more to say. Black Mass. Search your top 7 spells for 4 mana, 1 air threshold, which is great. You may reveal and draw 3 different evil minions from among them, then put the rest at the bottom of your spell book. This is usually a pay for draw 3 if you've got enough evil. Almost guaranteed to be a pay for draw 2. You're losing a turn of tempo, but you're gaining cards. I'm actually finding tempo to be really important in Gothic Limited. Like, the wasting a turn to just draw some cards, even though Gothic Limited, the games tend to go long. If you're matching, it's pretty easy to match each other on tempo. So, yeah, I'm gonna put Black Mass and Ghoul. It'll usually make the deck, but you got to build around it a little. And it's not a windmill slam like I would. Yeah. Archangel Gabriel. So all of these archangels are going to be hard ones to evaluate. 4 threshold means that even though it costs 5 mana, you're almost never going to have that 4 air threshold when you get to it. But it's such a strong card, right? Like, this is a 5 mana for a 4 power flyer that's warded and gets to draw you a spell that, an allied minion only they can cast. But, I mean, then, turn 7, you might have been able to hit enough air to play this, or like when you hit 7 sites, and then maybe you even get to play the spell, right, with the minion who can cast it before it gets removed. I'm putting it, everything's going in Ghoul. Like, this is, you probably want to be running minimum 7, if not 8 air sites in this, so you're going like, you want to have a deck that's 70% air if you're playing Archangel Gabriel, which is going to be hard to pull off. All mortals gone. Kill all mortals. So I think in pure Gothic, this is actually low tier removal. Definitely you can build around it well, avoid it if you don't have any mortals in your deck. It's, it's like a functional removal that will sometimes hit them. I think once we start playing more limited where we combine the different sets, this card will go up in value. But for now, it's not really going to make most decks. I'm actually going to put it in Desecrator Kite. Young Master Damien. This is a cool card. 6 mana, 3 air threshold. You summon 2 ghouls when you cast him. He's 2 power. Those 2 ghouls cannot die while he's nearby. So you're getting 8 power for 6 mana, and 6 of that 8 power is invincible as long as that 2 power thing is still alive. I think Young Master Damien is a high tier bomb for 6 mana. He's not like, the downside is that he doesn't do anything the turn you play him. Like, Lord of Lies is still a serious increment better than this because you get a proc on it the turn you play it. Same with like Jack the Ripper, you can get value guaranteed when you play it. But Young Master Damien, that is a lot of bodies for them to deal with. So yeah, I think he's pretty darn good. But all 3 of those bodies die to a single flame strike, right? So yeah, interesting card. Then we got the Draconian Bone Kite. 7 mana, starts to hit that cost where I don't love running 7 mana things, but I like to have one in my deck. And if it's a 7 power airborne with a tap ability that basically shoots a minor explosion, 3 damage to a nearby location, and summons a skeleton for each unit that died, like, yeah, okay, you're running Bone Kite if you get it. Hopefully you've got enough air. You definitely, I mean, even for these 3 threshold cards, you almost want to be going 7 and 5 on your sites if you're playing triple thresholds. Maybe you can get away with the classic 6 and 6. Our last air card, Bane of Aventus. Genesis, gain control of nearby warded minions. It's a 4 power for 4 with some huge upside if you get it. And he's pretty darn runnable. I'm gonna say he's a 4 power for 4. Yeah, he's an Avenging Angel. Like, 4 power is really the magic number too in Gothic. like because there's so much 3, it makes the difference. So that's my air. I think Doom of Dillman really belongs in Broomstick Witch, and maybe Black Mass does too. Yeah, of all of the air uniques, I think the one closest, I mean, it's probably, I don't know, maybe Nosferatu, maybe Young Master Damien, maybe Bone Kite. I don't know, all 4 of these are really strong picks that are in the running for best of the air. Now we're on to fire. Our levels here are very similar. Granary Rats, never play it. Flame Skull, solid, but won't make many decks, but good to have around. Solid 3 power, and then Hot Wheels, a really good card, and Necromancer. So, Blaze of Glory, where do you land? An ally fights each enemy near it, one at a time. It doesn't die until it's done. Blaze of Glory, this is a hard one to evaluate for limited. But it's, we love Smite, and this is a Smite that can, like, the only reason Blaze of Glory isn't just landing right in the Hot Wheel category without a second thought is that often you're gonna lose the minion. So Blaze of Glory will usually cost you 2 cards. You can usually get 2 cards with it. Sometimes, Blaze of Glory's ceiling is super high, right? If you've got a single, especially if you're against the Flood decks, which I think is a really good archetype in Gothic Limited, just trying to get more bodies earlier, especially because there's so many of these kind of bigger bodies that people really like, but turn 4, turn 5, playing 2 cost things rather than 1 4-cost thing. Sometimes you can just overwhelm your enemy before they hit their 10-ton slugs and whatnot. In Blaze of Glory, if you have, once you get anything with 4 power on the board, you can probably get it in position to clear everything they've got. So I'm going to say it's Hot Wheels. It's a little risky to run, though. Then we got Asmodeus. 5 mana, 3 fire threshold, so a little hard to play. Stealth, 3 power, and then you can choose to break his stealth at any time to destroy everything else here, including this site. So, he's some serious destructive potential on a stick. 5 mana for 3 power isn't great. He can get cleared by things like Flame Strike, but there's not that many Flame Strikes around, right? And he really can get you out of some binds. I find when I play Asmodeus, I'm often blowing up my own site because you use him to clear some major threat that you didn't have an answer to. And then you've got a 3 power body and you lost a mana, but that's okay. The 3 fire threshold makes him a little tough and limited, so I'd call him a low Hot Wheel. Now, here we are again, another Archangel. An airborne ward, like all the Archangels, and players lose 1 life for each evil minion they control or in their cemetery. So, it's hard to build, if you get him early in the draft and you're just hard pushing for fire, you can try and avoid evil, but if you've got to run 70% fire just so that you can play this 4 threshold card, then it's going to be a little bit of I don't know, he's a tough card to really run without knowing that you're probably going to lose some life, they're probably going to lose some life, but you're going to have the 4 power warded flyer when it's all done. And that's pretty freaking good. But the 4 threshold, I think, stops Archangel Samael from being a true Hot Wheel level card. I would not want to pack one, pick one Samael if I'm playing a serious draft, I guess is where I land on that, because 4 threshold is like 3 you can pull off, but it still gets hard at times. 4 is too much. The Inquisition. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. When an opponent can see this card in your hand or spellbook, you may summon it. Genesis, target opponent reveals their hand. You may banish a card from it. This is 5 mana for 3 power and banish a card out of your opponent's hand. So at first, I thought, I haven't seen one of these in real life yet. I really want to get one. I thought this wouldn't actually be that good for Limited because destroying cards in your opponent's hand is not that important. Your real goal is to destroy the cards on the board. But the Inquisition, like the turn you're playing a 5 mana minion, there's a good chance, because you get to pick what cards you banish, that you might be able to snipe the bomb they've been building up to playing. And at the end of the day, you're paying 5 mana, you're guaranteed to destroy a card of theirs, and you're getting a 3 power body. So you're getting a 1 for none, no matter what with this. And to me, that extra 2 mana is worth it. So I think it's pretty playable. I guess it's got I think about this in comparison to, say, there's the Werewolf Fire minion that's 5 mana for 3 power that has charge and +1 movement. And that one, you're often just playing it out to trade out for something, and you're killing something on the board. And that one, I don't think I put at Hot Wheel level. So I've been getting higher on it. But yeah, Inquisition, I think, is the Hot Wheel level card. I mean, compared to Asmodeus, right? Like, which of these abilities is better? I mean, I guess Asmodeus is a better ability, but Inquisition's easier to play because of the threshold. Locus of Illyria. I love this card. 6 mana, 3 fire threshold, 2 power. The FAQ clarifies. So this is an airborne minion that at the end of your turn, if no new locusts have been summoned this turn, summon a tapped copy of this nearby. When you play, the turn you play this, like the playing of this card doesn't block the proc. So you get a second one of these at the end of the turn you play it. So it's 6 mana for 4 power in the air, one of which is tapped. So you have 2 power untapped, 2 power tapped, but then it's going to generate another 2 power each turn that it stays in play. Like, it's so good, especially in Limited. Like, this is just any sort of recursive value. If you keep at least one of these on the board, you're just gaining so much. The 3 fire threshold's hard, but it's worth it. Hellstar. I lost a game to this card before. 7 mana, 7 power, 3 fire threshold. It's airborne, and it can't attack or defend, but at the start of your turn, it basically does a major explosion at its location. So you have to play this usually to one of your sites the turn you play it, and so then on your next turn, it's going to hit a bunch of your stuff, but then you get to move it onto their sites. It's so cool. Like, this is almost impossible to deal with. Like, the only hard removal will knock it off the board. and you pick where you put it. So you're playing your 7th site, like you can probably line up your things to dodge its proc. Your opponent probably can too, but then once it starts moving, it is a menace, right? Like they can't remove this. It's got airborne, so it kind of moves faster than anything else can move to catch up with it. Yeah, Hellstar I think is one of the few 7 costs I'm still pretty high on. Like, do I pick it? I mean, if you want a single 7 cost, 6 cost bomb in your deck, yeah, Hellstar's a low Hot Wheel. Grigori Rasputin. He is a spellcaster. I can't do the accent, and I shouldn't try. He has the ability, when he's in your graveyard, you can banish an evil ally you have in play, pay the 2 to cast Rasputin. You still have to pay the 2 to the location where you banished that evil ally, and then he gains that ally's power and all their abilities until he dies again. Just so freaking good. Rasputin, I mean, in Limited, there's so many cool combos you can pull off with him. Just menace in the graveyard. Like, yeah, this recursive value. I mean, you do kind of have to give up cards to get him out, but being able to turn your Flaming Skulls into, 4 power airborne minions, right? Because he adds their power to his power and gains their abilities. So, yeah, you're very happy to pay an extra 2 to turn your Flaming Skull into a Flaming Rasputin. God, Iron's actually got some really top tier stuff in the unique slot. Baylor of the Evil Eye is a super solid bomb drop. 6 mana, 2 fire threshold. What a dream. 6 power. Once on your turn, you get to pick. Like, that's once on your turn. That's not at the end of your turn. He deals 2 damage to 1 unit at each other location in a cardinal direction. So he kind of shoots a heat ray from himself. You can deal the death blow with him. You can clear enemies, and he's a unstoppable body on the board. He's a high Hot Wheel. Or like, yeah, I think, yeah, he's almost Necromancer level. Satanic Panic. Kill all demons and 1 other target minion. This is pretty, like, if it was just said kill 1 target minion for 5 mana, that would be a great card, right? The kill all demons part is sometimes a downside for you. There's a lot of demons around and fire. But sometimes an upside. I think it's a solid Hot Wheel level card. But we'll put it in Mummy level. Like, it's 1 other target minion. Like, it's super solid removal, but it's overcosted. Like, and if you have, it can have some serious downside where you're 2 for 1ing yourself to kill something. Bodak Bogeyman. Haven't seen this one in real life yet. He's 4 power for 6, 2 fire threshold. Can pick up adjacent weaker enemy minions. They're disabled while carried. You can pick up as many as he wants. Like, just freaking crushes. I mean, like, I'm sick of considering stuff not Necro level. I'm calling Bodak and Baylor Necromancer level cards. I would consider pack 1 pick 1ing this over a Necromancer. It'd probably be wrong, but it is such a huge bomb. And it will move the things it picks up, so you can move things into range and then kill it. Like, this is value the turn you play it, guaranteed. S tier card. Great limited. Blood mana, 3 fire threshold, 1 mana, and the next spell you cast this turn costs life instead of mana. I mean, this is a build around. Obviously, using this to turn 3 your locusts, if you get your 3 fire threshold, is wild. You know, it's like running a mix, but the truth is that you're always going to be 2 for 1ing yourself to play that. Like you're burning an extra card to get a card out, and card advantage is so important. I'll put this in the Flaming Skull. You'll play this sometimes, but it's not going in every deck that can run it even. Day of Judgment, a 7 mana game ender. You have to be able to place the cross. The nice thing about placing this cross is the 7 can usually be somewhere where they have a big threat. So like, you're not going to be able to do 7 damage to their avatar with this usually, but you're going to be banishing the evil that it hits and damaging units in the cross shape. You can orient the cross however you want, but the whole cross has to fit in the realm. So it's some potent removal. You see it sitting in your hand, so you can try and line up. You know, I think Day of Judgment played well, is a really great late game bomb. Definitely can be used to deal the death blow, which is obviously handy. But instead, I'm going to actually put it in Mummy level. It'll make most decks that it can reasonably be run in, but that might be wrong. Like, if you don't want too many of these 7 mana cards in your deck, you want to keep most of your things in the 5 and below range. Usually, I mean, everything I say, this is just my opinion. I'm not an expert. You know, I play a lot of limited. I love sorcery. I'm super obsessed with it, but there are more talented players out there and many ways to play. So, yeah. That's my disclaimer. Salt the Earth. Conjure Salt the Earth to single site, destroying it. Sites can't be played here. I'm never running this in limited. Spending a spell to destroy a site is just not, like, spells are more valuable than sites in terms of like the cost of a card in limited. There we go, there's our fire cards. The uniques and fire, there's some really good ones. Great value. Yeah, incredible cards. Let's keep going. This game is so freaking great. If anyone happened to watch this video who doesn't play sorcery, I feel bad for you, because I assume you play sorcery as I talk about this stuff, but you should play sorcery. I'm sure anyone who does happen to watch this, you're equally addicted to this game. It's just so cool. These uniques are all so flavorful, so potent and limited. They're so rare and like interesting when you get them. But this really isn't what is going to define your limited deck, is getting one of these unique level spells. But they're really cool when you get them. Putrid Presence, 4 mana, 1 power. The subsurface of nearby sites can be attacked. 2 water threshold, submerge and burrowing. Such a cool card. Definitely goes in the Sarava category. And this category is like the stuff that might make your deck sometimes, and that's also sort of the category I use for build around. So if you hit this, like, you might, if I saw this as my pack one, pick one, and there was nothing like really, like if there wasn't a failed mutation or a necromancer level card in the pack, it was just a bunch of like, you know, stuff like Moss Troll level or worse, which happens a lot in Gothic packs because there's so much variant. Like, you know, there's there's so many things that are not limited playable in the set, and it's such a big set that it's very common to pack one, get a pack where the best card is a Moss Troll. And so I'd take the Putrid Presence in that scenario, and then maybe try and build a Burrowing Submerged deck, and then lose the draft, because it'd still just be a meme, but it would be cool. Pied Piper Pamu. You control all minions with 1 or less power. 2 mana, 2 power. This is almost a Sewer Rats, but it's 2 mana for 2 power. It's 2 water threshold, which isn't ideal, but you might play it in some decks, and it's one of those like huge ceiling, but most of the time it does nothing. Like, no one's playing 1 power minions in limited if they can help it. But when you run into that Necromancer, you feel great. And one fun thing to note, the way that control effects exist in the layers of ongoing effects, this control checks before power modification. So even if your opponent has something that increases the power of his 1 power minion, something like a Torch and Pitchfork, you'd still take control of them before their power would be modified. Maiden Mother Crone. I just watched Lord of Itza video where he was talking about how this just spiked in cost hugely. Shout out to Sorcerers! The shout. You know. Thank you, Itza, for all the content you create and all you do on the message boards and stuff with judge rulings and whatnot. But yeah, Maiden Mother Crone, 5 mana, 3 power, Genesis heal 3, Deathrite. Opponent loses 3, and then you can pay 3 mana to draw a spell anytime you want. The 3 water threshold stinks, but the power of this to draw you cards, and it's a guaranteed 6 life swing effect just off of its Genesis and Deathrite, makes it super playable. I mean, I think for each card that we put in the failed mutation level, it's worth asking, like, would I pick this over a failed mutation, pack 1, pick 1? And if I'm playing a sort of, I'm trying to play my best draft I can, I might pick the failed mutation over the Maiden Mother. But just because she's 3 water threshold, and that really means that, that 3 threshold is tough. And here it is again, Lilith, another card that spiked wildly in value. Because water is, the strongest element in Constructed right now. And Lilith, at the end of your turn, you reveal opponent's top spell. If it's a minion, summon it here. Otherwise, put it at the bottom of the deck. Huge value. I think Lilith is honestly Necromancer level. I mean, this is like Maiden Mother. She's got to live long enough for you to get the mana to start drawing spells. Lilith is almost. This is limited, so most people are running 17 or 18 minions in their 24 card deck. So there's a 75% chance that you're going to flip a minion and get something for free from Lilith. Just huge card advantage and like a must-answer threat on the board. Next up, we have the Kiss of Judas. This turn, attacks against target avatar can't be defended, and you draw a card whenever they are attacked. This card is really interesting. It's often hard to get death blows, especially when you're in water, which doesn't have a lot of direct damage. So it can be handy for that, but it's not removal, it's not guaranteed card draw, it's not a body on the board, and it's 3 water threshold. Like, Kiss of Judas, I guess, is a Survivors of Sarava level card. It will make some decks, but not very many, to be honest. Like, it's low Zerava to me and limited. I mean, it's, yeah, you might run, you need a way to kill, so it might be worth running in some decks, but it's not a card that I'm going to pick super highly. It's not going to pull me into water. If I see it in my sealed pool. Archangel Raphael. I mean, one of the strike or ward a nearby avatar. Like, Raphael might be the strongest of the archangels. I know most people would say Michael, but warding an avatar is so good. But it's 4 water threshold, and that is too much threshold. It's so hard to play a 4 threshold card. If you can pull it off, though, it's great. So I'm going to put it at the 3. Like, if I see this card, and this is later in the draft, and I think I can hard pick water enough to build a deck that's 70% water, maybe I go for it. But God Soulfall, 7 mana for 10 power, occupies all locations safely, is banished without 5 voids, ignores the abilities of sites. So this is a crazy card. He occupies the whole realm. There has to be at least 5 voids. So if you've hit 7 sites, your opponent's hit 7 sites. That means there's probably 6 voids on the board when this is played. If you're keeping site parity, which means that he's 2 sites away from being banished. I think Yogg is nigh unplayable in limited, but okay. If you are playing Harbinger, he becomes playable. You can play him for 6, then we're talking about a 12 site board, which means he's got multiple turns to live, and if he gets to attack once, because he's everywhere, he can attack anywhere, so it's very easy to find a place to attack that can't be blocked, or at least eat their biggest thing on the board, block their biggest thing. I mean, he's good if you can get him out. If you've got some way to cheat him, like maybe he even goes into Moss Troll. It's like Raphael. It's so hard to make this playable in a deck, but if you get the right conditions aligned, great card. Thing in the Ice, 3 mana, 2 water threshold, 6 power. Genesis, he's disabled for 3 of your turns. Can't be targeted or damaged by magic until the ice melts. So I'm going to put Thing in the Ice in the Moss Troll category. It's a solid 3 draw if you're losing a lot of tempo. It's not uncommon for people, like, because he won't strike back while he's disabled, so if your opponent can get 6 power worth of attackers lined up to swing at him, they can clear him off the board before he wakes up. But it's a ticking clock, it draws them in. I mean, he's a high Moss Troll. I'm going to play Thing in the Ice in most of my decks. I'm not picking Thing in the Ice above Failed Mutation, though. Because, yeah, he's just... I mean, not being able to be targeted by magic is great, but Failed Mutation has that ability and is ready to fight on the turn you play him. You don't have to wait 3 turns. The Flood. Permanently flood the entire realm, including voids. Submerge everything except 1 minion of each type. So this is, I think, not playable in limited. I think it goes in the sewer rat category. Submerge everything except 1 minion of each type. Like, it's, people aren't playing kindred decks, like affinity decks in limited, really. Like, there's not like, everything's kind of different types already. Like, you'll probably get to submerge some things. You get to pick the 1 minion that stays unsubmerged. It's 6 mana and 4 water threshold. Like, I compared to like the 6 mana Call of the Sea, that's the elite thing that drowns a bunch of stuff, which is super good and definitely playable. This is just too hard. Like, it's gonna be dead in hand too much, and it's not always gonna even really work the way you want it to. I'm just gonna say don't play it. Howl from Beyond. Deal your top spells, 1 to each void in the outer columns. Draw any minions with Void Walk or monsters from among them. Banish the rest. This card is crazy and limited because if you're dealing out 8 cards, like you often will be, that is a third of your deck. Which seems good, but you run the risk of actually decking yourself with this card. Turn 5, so if you haven't been drawing sights for turn, which usually you shouldn't be, then it's actually, you're playing this on turn 7. So you've drawn 7 cards already, or 6, depending on if you went first. And then you flip another 8 cards. So now there's, 9 cards left in your deck? So you got 9 turns until you're having to stick to sights. I mean, I guess it's fine. Yeah, I mean, Howl from Beyond, I mean, that is crazy card draw. You've got to have Void Walk and monsters, so this isn't going to be good in every deck, but in a deck that it's playable in, I think it's good enough card draw to run it. I call it a Moss Troll level card. Evil Twin. Enters the realm as an evil copy of an enemy minion. Strikes first if they fight. Unlike Self-Same Simulacrum, it doesn't have to be nearby to the minion that it copies. It doesn't target it. Basically copy your opponent's best minion, and you gain first strike if you happen to fight that minion. That's pretty darn playable. I mean, it does mean it's only helpful if they've got better stuff than you've got, right? But if they don't have better stuff than you've got, then you're already winning. So who cares? Yeah. Dr. Demetrius, 2 power, 4 mana, 2 water threshold. Once on your turn, Demetrius may ward another adjacent minion. So good. Ward is really strong. Water tends to be heavy on the evil. Like, it's not one of the more, like, Earth is the lowest evil, and then I think kind of fire is the second lowest evil, and water and air have the most evil. But there's a fair few mortals running around, like things like Moss Troll and Withered Trunks are both like good minions that can be warded, that are at ordinary level in water. So and yeah, it's getting to ward another minion and then keep doing it over and over. Like, there are decks you're not going to want to play him. Like, so you've got to think about if your deck can handle him. But great card. I know is so good, everyone says, and I just haven't felt it yet. I haven't felt her power. I haven't seen her that often. Beautiful art, really incredible piece. At the end of your turn, I know may take a step between the top and bottom edges of the realm to gain stealth. So the effect of I know is basically you play it turn 3, turn 4, it's stealth on the other side of the board, it attacks, comes back, it's stealth again. So it's just 3 damage every other turn to your enemy, with some other like stuff you can do with it. It's a 3 power body. I mean, it's got to be failed mutation level, but I'd pick failed mutation over I know if I was in a draft that I was sort of trying to win really hard. But like with all uniques, I mean, I know is so beloved that in a casual draft, I'd pick it highly just to have it for trades. I already have one for my deck building, and I haven't been running it in my mono water, actually. But so that's water. It's funny, it's got a more of a spread. Like the uniques in water in Gothic are less busted, but the thing is, the uniques in water were the most busted uniques, I think, before Gothic. And Gothic just like released enough other little tools to make all of the like good non-unique water stuff even better. And like Lord of Lies is, I think, the best 6-drop in limited in Gothic. So water's got some crazy strength. But yeah, it's interesting to see that the uniques doesn't look like it's not a bunch of necromancer and failed mutation level cards, but there's so much good stuff in water. It's a really solid element in limited, and in constructed it's the strongest. And we're up onto Earth. I guess it's worth stating, if you didn't watch any of the other videos, I'm kind of doing this in the order of weakest to strongest elements for limited. So I think Earth is the strongest. Limited. Gift of the Wolf is my Windmill Slam card. Top pick. Like, if I see a Gift of the Wolf, I want it. It's so handy for getting removal, card neutral removal. So yeah, that's our sort of high tier for this. Night Watchman is just another 3-power with a little upside for 3. Barrow White has a 2-power with an ability that is useful in certain decks. And then Carrion Beetles don't play it. Let's get going with Earth's uniques, which I think are mostly not that impressive, honestly, thinking over what I can picture in my head. Like Earth's strength and limited is in its ordinaries and exceptionals. Varistus the Evictor. Varistus has Void Walk. Whenever Varistus enters a void location, he kills all enemies there. 3 mana for a 2-power Void Walk with this kind of cool upside. I mean, there's enough Void Walk. I'm putting him as a high Barrow White level card. He'll make many decks. I'm not going to pick him high. I think I've already seen him wheel a table in a draft once. And I think that's right. Next up, we have Sow the Earth. Conjure Sow the Earth to a single void square, playing your top site there. This site provides double mana and threshold. So you have to have 3 Earth threshold to play this. So it's hard to play, which means you're probably not even going to play it when you have 4 sites. So do you really need mana ramp once you're up to 5 or 6 sites, which is probably where you're going to need to be before you can play this? I don't know. A lot of people still believe in landmass and overflow, which I am still a little skeptical on. Ramp does tend to be, like, I've seen Ramp doing better in Gothic than it did before. Even in limited, it can be nice to get that, but the 3 Earth threshold makes this so hard to play that you're only going to want to run it if you're very strongly in Earth. But it's playable in some decks. Sister Stephania, ward, other nearby minions are silenced, 2 mana, 2 power. I mean, a 2-power ward is pretty solid, and that ability. So what I really like, if you get a Sister Stephania early, you can pull more downside cards, right? Being able to silence downside cards, like the Revenant cards are the 1 mana 3 power that become 0 power, and if there's not a ward next to them or an evil next to them, depending on which one, she takes away that ability, so then they're just 1 mana 3 powers while she's around, and ward gives her some evasion, so I think she's a high Night Watchman, maybe a Gift of the Wolf, but silencing has downside too, like she'll knock the wards off of your other minions. So I'm still like, she'll be really cool and constructed, but in limited she's good, but not a guaranteed. Like she'll probably make your deck, but some decks she won't. Saint of Redemption, 2 mana, 2 power ward. No minion is evil, but all enter the realm tapped. This is such, like, these symmetrical suffering cards, pun intended, are so hard to evaluate to me because this effect hitting both sides means that it's almost as if the effect wasn't there a lot, like, right? Like you're both just living under this regime of the Saint of Redemption. But you get to kind of play around it the turn you play him, but your opponent gets to play around that he's going to be gone the turn that they remove him. But he's got wards, so he's hard to remove. So he's just a 2-power ward who kind of complicates the game. Like, I'm gonna, the Holy Knight, who's just the standard 1 Earth Threshold, 2 mana, 2 power warded minion in Earth, is like a kind of high Barrow White, like I rate above Barrow White, but not quite as high as Night Watchman. And that's kind of, I think his ability is almost irrelevant. Though if you're not playing charge, he's good. If you are playing charge, you do not want to play him, right? Because he does kind of shut down opponents' charge minions, which that's the primary use for him. So as long as you're not in fire, I would run him in most decks, sort of on that line. Peace Offering, 1 mana, 0 power, airborne. Whenever this enters another player's site, you may give them the Peace Offering. If you do, their units can't attack you on their next turn. And then it does it back to you, so like, when you give them the Peace Offering, now the Peace Offering is theirs, and so then they give it back to you. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I'm not going to play it ever. It's cute, but Golden Dawn, I've seen this played a fair bit in limited, actually. I feel like it's come up a number of times. I don't know why. It just happens to be one of the uniques I've seen. And every time I've seen it played, it's been too little, too late. Like, because you always end up kind of prioritizing site draw to get this, to be able to play this. And so you're losing some tempo to get to it. But okay, so what it does is you deal out your top spells one at a time to each site in your back row. Any of the spells that you dealt out that are minions get summoned to where you dealt them. If they're not minions, you bottom them. So you're probably going to get, if you have 4 sites across the back row, statistically you should probably end up with 3 minions for 7 mana. Pretty good. They get charged if you're at Death's Door, which that's great, right? For making your last stand. But there's risk. You're not always going to hit. Like, I played this once and got 1 minion out of my 4 that I flipped. So I think it's going to make many decks, and it's 4 Earth Threshold too. I'm actually going to put it in Barrow White level. That 4 Earth Threshold just makes it such a hassle to cast and to build around. But it's a great, okay, it's Night Watchman. It's playable. Goat of Azazel, 1 mana, 0 power, takes damage for other allies. I don't know, I don't get it. Like, you're going to use it to do a little removal trick when you play it. So I guess that's kind of neat. Like, you've got 2 things of equal power facing off against each other, but I'd rather just have a good minion. Archangel Michael, probably the best of the angels. I know I like the water one better almost, but Yeah, 4 mana, or 5 mana, 4 Earth Threshold, 4 power, Airborne Ward. Genesis takes a step and then strikes all enemies at this location. That is a wallop. Like, that is quite an ability, but it's 4 Earth Threshold, so you're lucky if you can play this when you have 7 sites out, right? And he's going to rock the world when you do play him, but that 4 threshold, you just can't get around it, and puts him at Night Watchman level. Apostles of Thamariel. Genesis, they're 3 power, 4 mana, 2 Earth. Search your top 7 spells for an angel, summon it, then shuffle. If the apostles leave the realm, banish the angel. I mean, it's 4 mana for a 3 power, but it's not even a flyer. Oh my gosh, I always assumed that, but it's the apostles, it's not the angel. So this goes in the Barrow White section. It'll make your deck sometimes if you got some other angels. Great way to cheat out your Michael, but then you gotta keep the apostles safe. And we got Mover of Mountains. 2 mana, 2 Earth Threshold, 2 power, spellcaster. Once on your turn, you may swap to nearby empty sites. They're 2 mana, 2 power, so they'll make some decks, but that ability, I mean, you can use it to set up, like, there are ways that this is valuable, but in limited, it's not the sort of, like, guaranteed, standardized value of, like, strong minions, good removal, abilities that trigger the turn you play them, that get you, like, because the sites have to be empty, you're not getting to really, like, line up anything by doing that, unless you do it to then play a charge minion, or to then play, right? So, it's a little too hard. Banish all nearby evil. Boom. Our first Gift of the Wolf level card. Yeah, Earth Uniques just aren't that impressive, but it's still an incredible element. Banish all nearby evil. Yeah, this is just the opposite of Kill All Mortals. Like, there's so much evil, it's nearby, so it's easier to sort of, like, target it at stuff, and you're probably getting a 2-for-1 out of this. Just so good. Army of the Dead. 7 mana, 3 Earth Threshold, 8 power. Whenever this army moves or takes damage, it leaves a skeleton token behind. This is a Gift of the Wolf. This is one of those big 7 drops that, is just such a threat on the board. And if it takes damage, it makes the skeleton. So, I mean, it's kind of a low Gift of the Wolf level card. Like, I'd probably pick Gift of the Wolf over it in my pack one, pick one, which is maybe crazy, but Gift of the Wolf is always valuable, never dead in hand. This is play it on turn 10, maybe turn 12, something like that. But it's great when you get it. But it doesn't have an Enter the Realm effect, so it's not crazy good. And that's our Earth Uniques. As you can see, like, the Uniques in Earth just aren't really that great for limited, but I stand by Earth being incredible and limited. And then let's next up we've got the artifacts and the sites. So for the sites and the artifacts / multicolored spells, these are all very build around-y for the most part. So start out with one of the Omphaloses. If you see this early in a draft, it's probably worth picking. It's great card advantage. You do lose a little bit of tempo to play it, but they're super solid. Obviously, they need to be in your elements, so yeah, you might pack one. I would probably pack one, pick one, and then just force those elements pretty easily. If you don't know, the Omphalos At the end of your turn, you draw it. The Omphalos draws a spell. It's a monument that costs 4 to play. And the Omphalos is the only one who can cast the spells it draws. If it draws minions, it has to cast them there. And each Omphalos can only cast 2 element types. The Rack. This is an incredible card if you have a battle avatar like Blade Dancer or Persecutor. Whenever the bearer strikes an avatar, stretch them so that they also occupy another adjacent location. Then they lose 1 life for each location they occupy. So, for 2 mana, you drop this on your battle avatar. The turn you're going to hit their avatar, and you deal an extra 2 damage that turn and make their avatar way easier to hit. It's also a great card in Interrogator because it can make their avatar easier to hit more often. But it's an artifact, so if you're playing it on minions, it can easily get stolen and used against you. I'm going to put it as a Night Watchman level card. It might more rightly be a Barrow White card because it's so build-around-y, but it's a really good card if you can build around it. It just lets you pile on so much. You get a second proc of this, then you are feeling great. Pallid Bust. Genesis, banish a dead minion. Minion bearer has the banished minion's printed types and abilities. It's too cute by half. I'm sure there are certain decks where there's like, if you have a Lilith in your deck, then maybe you run this so that you can turn something else into a Lilith, like give it Lilith's ability. So there are certain, I guess we'll call it Barrow White, like you've got 2 incredible abilities on minions, then maybe you'd run this. So this is maybe a sealed playable, unlikely to be draft playable. Malleus Maleficarum, I really want to make this work in Constructed. If you go find, search Portland_Stew on Curiosa, I made a deck list that's just all the spells that you can cast with Malleus Maleficarum, and it's not as long a list as you want it to be. So 5 mana, once on your turn, bearer may cast a magic from your collection that targets an enemy spellcaster or their location or site. It's just not really playable and limited. There are spells you can cast with this, and I think maybe a constructed deck where you run Maleficarum instead of Toolbox could be fun. I'm going to try and do it, but it gives you access to some extra cards maybe, but it's so much mana to cast it. Yeah, we don't need to talk about it too much. Tabula Rasa. I haven't seen this in person yet. Maybe cast to any minion. Bearer is silenced, can't be modified otherwise, and can't drop Tabula Rasa. So this is one of those ones where certain minions you want to silence them to make them better, and other minions you want to silence them to make them worse. People aren't going to really have a counter to this, so you can, turn off their Lord of Lies' ability, or you can use this to make something that has a big downside better. Like if you got a Mizuj Ifrit, you can stop losing that 2 life, but then you also lose Airborne, so it's pretty build-around-y. Like it is not true removal. If it was disable, this would be great, right? Like then it would be like that 3 mana artifact from previous sets that disables minions. But Red Rock of Ravenous artifacts can't be carried here. At the end of your turn, at the end of each turn, not just your turn, pull each artifact 1 step toward this site along with its bearer. So cool. I saw this played in one of the sealed events, like opening weekend, and it was played against someone who was using a Sword of Thorns. It's so cool. Not really worth running. Obviously sometimes it'll do great things, but it's not reliable value, and you need reliability in your limited cards. Plate of the Whale. Bearer is immobile if it has less than 3 power. If it has more than 3 power, Prevent the first instance of damage it would take each turn. Wow. So this is one I'm not super familiar with. It just makes your bomb better, but you're spending a card to make your bomb sort of harder to kill. Yeah. This would be a cool one for old-fashioned Battle Mage Voltron decks, but not like, you know, like I said, there might be some times you would play this in limited, but you'd have to have a few, like if you have got a solid stack of over 3 power minions, then this could be pretty worth playing just to make them even stickier. Koshai's Egg. Such a hilarious piece of art. Genesis. Avatar Bearer hides its soul in Koshai's Egg, becoming immune to death blows. After 3 of your turns, or if the egg leaves the realm, you lose. Yeah, it's 7 mana. Just don't play it in limited. It's a cool idea, but it'll never really work. Key of the City provides 1 mana. Bearer ignores sight abilities. I don't think, like, ignoring sight abilities isn't worth that much in limited, and ramp isn't really that significant in limited. Like I said, I think, like, the old knowledge, like, before Gothic, I feel like I was pretty convinced ramping was not good in regular limit. Like in Cube, obviously, it can be really good, but in regular limited, I didn't think it was that good. I'm actually starting in Gothic, it's feeling more and more powerful. Like Harbinger, like getting that discount kind of makes a difference. And like, because there's a tempo battle, like Key to the City is playable, I think, in some decks, especially if you're running a little greedy, but man, you top deck this later in the game and you are bummed. I Am Colossus. I think this card is pretty good. 10 mana for 10 power, but you may banish minions under your control or from your hand or cemetery to help cast Colossus. It costs 1 less for each to cast. So especially if you have nothing else to do with your cemetery minions, like by turn 6 or 7, you've probably lost 3 or 4 minions, and then this becomes a 10 power minion that you pay 6 to cast, and that's great. Like, I think, and it goes in any deck, has no threshold requirement. If you hit a Necromancer or anything that's gonna generate tokens, this becomes even better. So yeah, I think I Am Colossus is actually super playable. You're always going to be able to play it for 7 mana on turn when you hit 7 mana. And so if you would play 10-10 Slug, then you would definitely play I Am Colossus. Is kind of my view on it. Flame of the first one. Whenever the flame stops at a new site, you heal 1, your opponent loses 1. Yeah, it's nifty. I mean, maybe in a Persecutor deck, you can use this to, you know, get, what, like maybe 6 or 7 pings out of it. So I'd say just in Persecutor I'd run it, but anything else, it's kind of silly. Ether Core, one of those high value uniques, provide 3 mana while in the void. Maybe in a crazy build around you could play it, but most of the time it's just too specific, and yeah, you're wasting a card to get some ramp. And like, I mean, yeah, if you like, I think ramp decks might be viable and limited, but they're not the standard fare, and it's hard to draft enough big stuff to even make ramp worthwhile, right? Divermus Mysterilis. Spellcaster Bearer may cast minion spells for 5, ignoring threshold. So here's another cool, like, this is kind of a reverse ramp, but you cast this out for 3 on turn 3, and then by turn 7 or 6, maybe you do 1 extra sight turn. You can cast any minion in your deck now, and this solves issues with casting with Threshold, and we saw that can be, if you get some really good stuff, again, maybe playable, but most of the time you'd rather just put down a solid 3-drop on turn 3, and you don't want to top deck this late game. And another Umphalos, same as all the other Umphalos, is very playable if you get them early. But yeah, Cage of Sidrek. Genesis. Lock all minions with 2 or less power in this cage, tapped and disabled. The Sidrek does some wild stuff, right? Like, you can kind of build up to playing it, right? So you can set it up, but like the 2 power minions aren't the focus. This is kind of like Pied Piper, where like it's pretty cool, but this isn't really what you're looking for. Like your real problems are minions that are 3 power or more. But occasionally you'll blow out a flood deck with it. It's it's a nice like turn 3 like remove what they built up to, right? Like maybe they put out 1 or 2 2-drops, and then you just clear their 2-drops with this effectively. Like no one's going to be able to remove a monument. I guess I'd maybe run it, but it's going to shut down your stuff too. Like these symmetrical effects are really hard to play, in my opinion. 5 mana Book of the Dead. Once on your turn, spellcaster, bearer may cast a dead minion, which becomes undead instead and is banished if it dies. So this is, I think, really good, actually. You cast it on your avatar once you hit 5 mana, and then you can effectively recast dead minions for the rest of the game. So that tempo loss is worth it, right? Like being able to they solve some big problem and then like they have to solve it again. Pretty darn good. Book of the Blessings. Whenever bearer casts magic that chooses a single allied minion, ward that ally. Not really playable. Like, if you notice you have a deck that has a bunch of magic that targets a single allied minion, but like there's not good magics that do that you're really running in this set. Definitely not enough of them to make this playable in limited. And that's all the artifacts. I guess we'll clear them out so that we can look at the multicolored cards on an empty board. And here are the multicolored cards. They're all gonna be kind of silly. That's not true. So, Life Wish, fully heal each avatar. Yeah, so cool, so much flavor, but that's not really worth a card in your deck in limited. Divine Intervention, return from Death's Door to 1 life, but you need 1 of each threshold, and it costs 7 mana. Again, like maybe if you have like 5 blooms, and then you like hold on to a bloom so that you can do this to buy an extra turn when you're on Death's Door, but no. Death Wish, 2 air, 2 fire, 6 mana, have each avatar's maximum life. Again, it's cool, it's flavorful, it's not really like limited. It's not doing one of the things you're trying to do when you're playing limited. Blasphemy. 1 fire, 1 water, 1 air, 5 mana. Each minion deals 1 damage to its site, destroys an artifact there, then taps. They don't untap the next time they would. So the way you play this, right, is after you've already completed all of your attacks for turn, you cast this, it shuts down all of their minions, it does a bunch of damage, and then on their next turn, none of their minions untap, but then none of your minions are going to untap on your next turn. I don't know, like, you gotta be, we'll put it in Barrow White, like, this is cool, and like, there's definitely, this is one of those sort of, it's like Courtesan's Thias, but not quite as good. Like, you can pull off some crazy plays with it and sort of set up your kill. Like, sneak in a bunch of extra damage. Like, I feel like a lot of the time you can make this effectively a, like, 5 mana, do 5 damage spell. If you can make sure that there are 5 minions on their sites, right? But, no. Armageddon. 10 mana, 2 of each threshold, destroy everything. Sick. Not playable. In limited. In constructed, it'll be dope. Definitely want to run that in a, like, elementalist deck, and somehow, I don't know, yeah, it'd be a cool one to pull off. Especially if you can ward some stuff, like if you've got warded sites, and then you Armageddon. Same thing as the new Roots approach. Power Wish, 2 fire, 2 earth, 6 mana. Each avatar sacrifices all their minions, permanently gaining +1 power for each. Power Wish, I think, is the coolest of the wishes. And it's still like, how... The one way I see this really working is in a Persecutor deck, but in Persecutor Limited, a lot of times you're not even really going up to 6 mana, but it would be pretty cool. Like, then you clear everything, and now your now both avatars got stronger, but yeah, you can deduce it for yourself. And then Chaos Wish. I'm sure many folks know that people have cracked an infinite combo with this and Kythera Mechanism and Ring of Morgan to make it actually do anything. But cast a copy of a random spell for free, ignoring threshold, then the next player may copy Chaos Wish. Yeah, if it's a casual event, I'm pack one, pick one-ing this, and then forcing air and water just to be the person who's casting Chaos Wish at their local event, but it's not actually a good limited card. And then let's close it out with the sites. Yeah, sites are good. They're easier to draw than spells, so ones with really good effects are often worth picking. Once per game, if you would die, you may sacrifice a minion atop the altar instead. No threshold, don't play. That's kind of going to be the philosophy for all the non-thresholded sites. I mean, Gothic is threshold greedy, and it's just hard to play a non-thresholded site. Like, you can maybe get away with one, but this one, I mean, you can dodge. You can dodge a death blow with this, but it's, I don't know. I think you still don't really want to be prioritizing this. I mean, like, maybe you'd put it in the deck. Baba Yaga's Hut. This card is crazy good in Pathfinder, not good in Limited. Once on your turn, you may swap positions with an empty site in your back row. Yeah, this is a really cool card that you're not going to really play. City of Glass. If you have an air threshold, it provides 2, but is destroyed when damaged. I think this one's actually kind of playable. I keep saying, like, ramp is impressing me in Limited. I'm getting higher and higher on anything that can ramp your mana base. And it's like your City of Glass is probably going to survive for a while, long enough to really get you some advantage out of having that extra mana every turn. I might even say here, like, I mean, it's not thresholded, so that's the huge downside. But if I'm not playing any triple threshold cards, and mostly single threshold cards, I would run this. City of Plenty, if you have a water threshold, it provides 2 instead of 1, but it also provides 1 for your opponent. To me, that's not. Then you're ramping both sides, and like, I mean, in a really, like, if you build a really greedy ramp deck, I guess this might be worth playing. City of Souls. This is the best of the cities, in my opinion. Maybe, I don't know, this or the air one. It gives you 2 instead if you have an earth threshold, but enemies can redirect damage dealt to this site to any unit. But you play it in your back row, it's kind of hard to pull off. Like, and I noticed a lot with Wizard's Den too, that like having this like site with a target on it in your back row kind of draws your opponent into your turf deeper than maybe would be wise and can often help you. So yeah, I think City of Souls is pretty good. Again, only if you can afford not having a threshold on one of your sites, which is hard to afford. City of Traders. If you have a fire threshold, you get 2 mana from it, but your opponent can cast minions to this site stealth. In Limited, that's kind of a problem. It's still ramp, kind of on the line. Like, I guess this is a barrel. Like, again, if you've got the right threshold scenario where you can get away with this, giving your opponent a stealth minion is still, that's giving them a lot. Darkest Dungeon, Genesis. The next time an ally strikes an avatar this turn, drag both here if able. I think this is in one of the pre-cons and is fun and gimmicky, but yeah, it's just not really Limited playable. Defiler's Spire, finally something with threshold on it. Sites occupied by evil have, at the end of your turn, you lose 1 life. So if you're in air, you're probably playing a lot of evil, but maybe get it off of your sites. Like, this is that symmetrical effect. I mean, I'll probably run it. I don't know. Maybe I won't. That's a hard one. I'm not going to pick it highly ever. If, like, the problem is that the owner of the site loses the life, but so, like, who's going to be able to get more evil minions onto the other person's sites? Is, like, if you feel confident you're going to be able to do that, then maybe you run it, right? Endless Fence, minions can't enter this span of land from the void. Definitely you're always going to run this if you can. I'm not going to pick it super highly, but I'll pick it above, like, a non-significant 2-drop. Garden of Eden, the only double threshold, or like 2 different threshold and exactly 2 different threshold site in Gothic. As long as you're not running, like, it stinks if you're running a gift with this, but also, like, the turn you're going to play the gift, you just draw a site per turn, and then it doesn't feel as bad, but it's still so good. Like, shutting down your opponent's ability to draw extra cards comes in handy sometimes, but the real reason why this is good is it's 2 different thresholds. Like, if these are your elements, this is so awesome to get a, what are these usually called? An aqueduct, basically. I mean, if you have an Umpalos, do not play this, I guess is the one exception I'll say. Gilman House. Transform a minion here into a horrible hybrid from your collection if you have 4 water threshold. In Limited, way it's written on the codex now, it kind of sounds like you have infinite access to horrible hybrids. In our local scene, we play, like, we usually clarify it to, like, you can only generate up to the rarity level of a collection card that's named. So when a card names a collection card, you get access to it unlimited, even if it's not in your limited pool. But our house rule is like, you only have access to 4 total horrible hybrids, because that's how many you would be able to have in a collection, right? You can't pull infinite of them. But this is pretty great. Turn your things that are weaker than 3 power into 3 power, and sometimes transform their stuff that's bigger than 3 into just 3. You need 4 water before it'll do anything, so I guess it's more down here. Like, it's never gonna really, it's rare that you'll actually even be able to use this ability, but you get it in a necromancer deck that's heavy water. Sometimes you're gonna get crazy value out of it. Hellmouth gives evil minions nearby or being summoned nearby have burrowing. Symmetrical effect. I don't like it's the same as this Defiler Spire. It's really hard to make this better for you than it is for your opponent. Horns of Behemoth. You gotta hit 6 fire threshold. You probably have 6 fire threshold in your whole deck if you're playing this card. But it's sick if you can get it. I mean, this is like a low Night Watchman, like, to run it on the off chance that you manage to pop it. I mean, maybe you get a couple, like if you manage to draft a active volcano and a couple blooms, like if your other element has some blooms in it and you have an active volcano, like maybe you'll be able to hit this, like when you get, you can imagine the scenario. Innsmouth Dock, broken, strong card. Once on your turn, you may lure an adjacent minion to step here. This is huge. I mean, you can do so much with this. Control the board. Like, this is a high Gift of the Wolf level card. Like, Garden of Eden is barely Gift of the Wolf level. Just running off of it being great threshold fixing, but this is sick. If a card will be placed in a cemetery, banish it instead. Core Crematory, symmetrical effect. This is kind of a nice, like, as long as you're not trying to do stuff with your cemetery, this is nice for shutting things down. But you gotta hit the 4 threshold mark, so it's not gonna go off very often. But worth running usually if it's not bad for you, right? Like, if it's bad for you, don't run it. Mount Usar Sanctuary. When you have 4 Earth Threshold and your avatar arrives at death's door, they flee here and gain ward, which means that they move to this site and gain ward. So cool. I just played a constructed game against someone who got this and made it a lot harder to finish the game. You're not going to hit the threshold very often, but by the time you hit death's door, maybe you've gotten to 4 Earth, right? Myr's Trophy Room provides an additional 1 mana for each unique minion in opponent's cemetery. Don't play it. Oops. Ooh, I made it grow. It doesn't provide threshold, and there's not many uniques around. Old Mortimer's Den. When a minion enters here, kill it, then return the site to hand, leaving rubble behind. It's a cool site, but it doesn't provide threshold, and you kind of lose it, like, and how are you going to make a minion enter here? Like, there's not enough forced movement, like forcing your opponent to move, to make that ever really playable. Orpheus's Crossing, man, this was so interesting when they spoiled it. Genesis, okay, it's got 1 air threshold. You're on death's door until your next turn. Summon a dead minion here. So this instantly puts you on death's door. but you get to summon a dead minion. Yeah, you're not going to run that unlimited. You end up with that as your fourth site, and you're like, oh, I can't play that. But, I mean, maybe you run it. Then you just have to go, no, you should run it. Yeah, I don't think it's playable for limited. Purgatory, whenever an evil minion dies nearby, its controller loses 1 life. It's solidly playable. Especially if you can make your deck clean away from evil. So if you've got a non-evil leaning deck, well, if you got a non-evil leaning deck, I guess I'll put it as a low Night Watchman. And it provides threshold, and that's what's important. Saint Wheel, Deathrite abilities here are also Genesis abilities. Man, I want one of these so bad. It's such a cool card. But it's not, you're not really going to play it almost ever. There's not that many Deathrite abilities. Like maybe if you drafted a few of the loners, like what are they called? The estranged loners, like that's a super playable, but it's exceptional. Yeah, it's just not having threshold, not getting played. Minions below nearby sites die. So cool. Another one of those. No threshold, no play. Once on each player's turn, they may sacrifice a minion here to gain 2 mana. Provides fire threshold. Your opponent can use it, but you're going to use it more. But will you ever use it? Probably not, unless you're Necromancer. So this is one of those cards. Like if you are Necromancer, all of a sudden you definitely slam this. Because, yeah, it gets you mana ramp. But even then, it's like, do you really want to give up your Skellies? There's so much value in them. Apex of Babel, it gives you an air threshold. You'll never be able to use its ability unlimited. When the Tower of Babel is built, draw a spell, then you may cast a spell for free. You play it on the same location as the base, so it is cool. It like makes you have a 2 mana, 2 threshold site. You get both of them out. But the Empyrean provides all 4 thresholds if you control a nearby angel or ward. Yeah, just that can get turned off. Like even if you're in a savior deck, like you're not always gonna have this, and it's just not really worth it. Mana at Dapperel Hill. Once you have 4 air threshold, once on your turn, this may deal 3 damage to target enemy here and heal you 3. It does provide air threshold, so you're going to put this in any deck that can play it, but it's like a low Night Watchman. Like, it's pretty hard to make this do something. The Void, this site is also Void. Yeah, I still don't fully understand how to play the Void, because anything that enters there gets banished. So, like, I don't think, the thing that still confuses me about the Void is, like, I mean, it's playable. I guess because your avatar can enter it, it can make it so hard for your opponent to kill you, but it's no threshold, so, like, you're only going to play it if you really can afford to have a no threshold site. And Watery Grave, whenever an enemy drowns nearby, summon a skeleton token atop that site. Super playable. I'm going to call it a low Gift of the Wolf. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing water, you probably have 1 or 2 drown effects. Right, like if you get 1 trial by water, then this makes your trial by water produce you a skeleton. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get huge value out of it. I guess it's actually just a high Night Watchman. Like, you're not going to pick this above a playable minion usually, but it's got some great upside. That's it. We managed to get through all the uniques in Gothic Limited. Like I said at the beginning, I don't really think this is a super useful video, to be honest. But it is cool to look through them all. It's so fun to just kind of skim them and think about if I would play them, if I would pick them. Obviously, a lot of the time you'll just take the unique if you want it for your collection when you're playing casual drafts. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'm excited to do some more stuff now that I've finished the basic rundown of Gothic Limited rankings. I'm also got a lot of projects in the works. I've been recording some commentary of real play matches for Rose City Sorcery lately too. So yeah, I'm always going to encourage folks to check out Rose City Sorcery and Wizards of Fun. Those are two channels that I've been on before and are run by good friends who produce great high quality content. This is more of just producing stuff because I want to talk about it type channel, but if you enjoy, listen to me drone on, stay tuned. I think the next video I'm going to do is the pick one debates, so that's to look forward to. I'm basically going to pull all of the ordinary and exceptional level cards that I would consider candidates for a pick one in any pack, like pack 3 pick one, pack 1 pick one, and talk about sort of where they land on the pick one scale, right? Like you pack 1 failed mutation and gift of the serpent and what's another pick one candidate? I mean, I'm not going to do the uniques and elites and an Omphalos, right? Like which one would you pick one over whichever one in which scenario? And so I think the focus is just going to be the like strict pack 1 pick 1 ranking of all of the viable candidates that are ordinary or exceptional, and maybe we'll come out of it with just a list of, you know, where each of those lands. I think, let's see, just as a teaser, the total number of cards that are on the potential pack 1 pick 1 list for ordinaries and exceptionals is got a total of 89 spells and 10 Atlas cards at ordinary or exceptional that I would consider ever pack 1 pick 1ing. And some of the cards I might actually even cut from this, and a lot of them are going to be low, like almost never pack 1 pick 1 this unless it's a really terrible pack. But so we're going to look at 99 cards and rank them from top to bottom in terms of which one we'd pack 1 pick 1. Yeah, so that'll be fun. And I just love talking about Limited. I think it's the coolest format. I'm so excited to be doing it in Gothic. I also just want to shout out anyone else who makes content about Limited stuff. I think I still have a lot to learn. So, you know, don't nobody be taking my advice too seriously, because I think there are a lot of perspectives and a lot of possibility for me to be very wrong about many of these rankings, but I sure enjoy making them. I hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah, keep on contesting the realm, and yeah, I hope to see folks at SCG Portland and SorceryCon. I'm going to SorceryCon, so maybe see some of y'all there too.